welcome. So today you join us on a bit of a cold day. Ignore my crooked work cap. So today we are assembling the block on the car. Yes, we need to get going. So today we are gonna be cleaning the block off. We need to respray it, as well as we're gonna be putting the pistons, the crank, and just everything else. So if you guys do go on to enjoy this video and want to see more just like it, well, hit that like and subscribe button.
So now after we got the block back from engineers, we need to just give it a quick clean. So to do that, on the top we're just going to use water paper, give it a light sand to just get whatever dirt or how do I say grease that the engineers put on it to just prevent rust. Just clean that off, and once we finish doing that, we're going to take a paintbrush with clean petrol, brush it over and take a clean cloth, wipe the top and give it a clean surface. So after that, we're just going to take a screwdriver and just clean out all the channels to make sure that there are no obstructions and we have clear flow. So you just want to take a screwdriver to all of the holes and make sure they are clean. Next, the Welch plugs. So to get these out, hammer and chisel. Best way. So because you are changing them, it doesn't really matter if they get damaged. So you can punch a hole in it, and then after you do that, you can just take a screwdriver and just pry it out.
Shiny on the outside but rotten on the inside.
Now you see, this is the issue with a Welch plug. It will look clean and in pristine condition. It'll look brand new on the outside, but on the inside you will find corrosion. So while you have an engine out or you just have access to them and you don't know when last they've been changed, you rather just take advantage of their time and change them. They're like 20 rand each, so it's not like an expensive part to change. So it's better to just change it and know you have peace of mind. So with the Welch plugs out, this now allows us to have access to the channels. So what we're going to do, we're going to spray water through where the Welch plugs usually are and see if the channels are clear, because if there's a block, well, we're not going to get proper flow and it's just going to cause unnecessary problems. So that way, with the Welch plugs out, we can put the hose pipe in and just flush out any possible blockages. Now I just want you to take note at how dirty the water is coming through the pores, which is crazy because considering the fact that we washed this block out before we sent it over to engineers, it's mad how dirty a block can still be. Now as you can see, we are just using a hose pipe, clearing out more channels to make sure there are no obstructions and we have free flow throughout this block. So after running a lot of water through the block, you need to just let whatever excess out by tilting the block over, and then you need to grab a clean cloth and dry out the pores, because the pores are extremely quick to get surface rust. So grab a clean cloth, wipe out the pores, and then start taking petrol and pour it in the pores. This way, putting the petrol in will actually stop the surface rust from occurring as quickly. So same thing happens at the bottom. You need to flip the block over again and then just wipe out where the bearings are going to go. And talking about bearings, we are going to be using AE big end bearings as well as mains for this engine, and there are brand new Welch plugs that we are going to put in a little bit later on. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to pour oil down into the holders within the block to make sure, okay, there is oil within the block instead of just being bare and empty. So you want to do this for all of the holes. And afterwards, you just want to take your finger and wipe whatever oil is excess, because you need lubrication, because that's just going to help you fit the bearings in. Now before you put the bearings in, well, you need to drop them in petrol and just wash them off, clean them off to make sure you have a clean surface. So you just put them in a container, throw them around in some petrol, then grab a clean cloth, dry them off, and you are good to go. Then you place them within your block. But do be careful, because
The two bearings. These are mains. One's got a hole.
Yeah.
Right? Other one is blank.
I do apologize for the poor camera angle, but yes, half the bearings that you are gonna have are gonna be blank, and the other half are gonna have holes. Now it is very important where you put these bearings.
The blank is gonna go on the cap.
Okay.
The one with the hole goes on the block so that it can feed the oil. If you put a blank,
No
no oil.
So you gotta make sure that the oil feed is there, because if there's no oil, that means there's friction on the bearings. Friction on the bearings means friction on the crank. That means crank damage. That means you need to strip your motor. So you don't want that. So make sure you put those bearings in the right place. Now, when putting the bearings in, just make sure they are seated level. So after doing that, you want to oil the bearings up. Now you want oil bearings because we need to put the crank in. With the crank now being in place, we're going to put more oil where the bearing caps are supposed to go, because we need to spin the crankshaft to just make sure it is spinning smoothly, freely, and with absolute ease. That way we know, okay, we're good to go. Now, with the bearing caps, you're going to put more oil on the actual bearing, and you're going to flip it and just put it in place. Now, once put in place, you're just gonna hand tighten the bolts, and before you actually move on, you're just gonna take a hammerhead or a light hammer and just tap it down to make sure they are seated flush to the block. You do not need to use a lot of force. Light taps will do the trick. Then afterwards, you can just hand screw the bolts down before you use your ratchet and just tighten it with that. Now one more check to just see that the crank is rotating properly, and with that being done, it's time to move on to pistons.
That's the expansion, yeah. Put it in.
Now when it comes to a ring, they are very brittle, like they are quick to break, so you do need to work with some precaution. That way you do not end up snapping a ring, because if you do so, well, you're gonna be in a bit of trouble.
There's markings that says top on the ring.
You need to make sure that the marking where it says top is facing the top, because if you put this in the wrong way, it will actually give the car the sense of a misfire, that the car is misfiring.
The join. There's a join there. The join, I must be careful the join doesn't overlap. Inside here, there's a join where the two meet together. They mustn't overlap.
Now, following the same procedure as the mains, well, you need to take your big end bearings and you're gonna put it in the same bowl with clean petrol and just give it a quick workaround and just get them clean. So once you have them in the petrol, take them out, dry them with a clean cloth, and then you're good to go. When it comes to putting the big end bearings, you just need to make sure that they are level and seated properly. You don't have to worry about there being one side with the hole and the other side without. They all have the same one hole in the middle, so you do not need to worry or be concerned about that. You just need to make sure that they are level. So now, with our pistons being in order, we need to take oil, pour it on the crank, pour it on the piston, and be generous when pouring it on the piston. Pour it in between the rings and just make sure, okay, they are very well coated. Put it into your ring squeezer, and please make sure your ring squeezer is clean. That way you do not want any sand, any dust, grit going onto a piston. So to just avoid that, make sure your ring squeeze is clean. Then place on a block, use a hammer, lightly tap it to be seated in properly, and with the handle of the hammer, you can just tap it into place, and once it drops in, well, that's your piston done, and you need to do it another 3 times. Now, when it comes to the caps of the pistons, please make sure that you are putting the caps in the right positions, because whatever cap came off the conrod, you make sure mark them to just be safe, that this cap goes with this conrod, this cap goes with that conrod, because if you mix up the caps, you will be in a lot of trouble, because once you fully tighten it, and only once you fully tighten it, will the motor, it will just lock, the engine will lock, and then now you need to try and figure out and work out where the cap is going, where is the correct place for it. So it just causes a lot of unnecessary hassle, a whole lot of time wasted. So please just make sure you put in the right cap in the right place. Now, after you tighten the bearing caps, well, you're gonna put 30 newton meters into your torque wrench and just torque them. Now, after you torque each of the bolts 30 newton meters, Oh, and before I get, the mains are 65 newton meters. That is the torque setting for the main bearing caps.
Yeah, 30, 60, 90.
Now for the bearing cap of the conrods, well, you're gonna need Tipex and you're gonna need to mark it because you're still gonna need to tighten it 90. Yes, 90 degrees, you need to turn it. So you're gonna need Tipex and just be able to mark it and see, okay, this is how far I need to go. You see that your markings are in line, and then you rotate it. Now once you complete with all of them, you rotate and see if you're good to go. Now we was, so we move straight onto the Welsh plugs. Now to put the Welsh plugs in, we just grabbed a socket that fitted nicely within the Welsh plug, and with the short extension and the 4-pound hammer, some light taps, and it gets into place. Now once it starts actually getting into groove, well, you're just gonna tap it in with the 4-pound hammer to make sure it is flush, and you can give it a few, okay, these aren't light bangs, but light bangs preferably, because you don't want to damage it or run the chance of actually breaking a hole into the Welsh plug, because then you just wasted a Welsh plug. Now you just need to continue this and do the same for the rest. Now I've been doing just one example of each thing when putting this engine together, because if I had to show you each part that we put in, well, us tightening every single bolt, this video was going to be over 2 hours. So to keep it short and sweet, well, this is what I have to do: show you one good example and then just copy and apply to the rest of them. Now we are just putting the outer seals on, and all you had to do was put sealer with the gasket and just tighten it. It's not difficult to just put these outer seals on, but you do need to make sure they are tight because you don't want oil spilling out from these areas. So we also just decided to just change and put brand new seals throughout the engine, and know for certain that they are new and they should last. So that way we aren't down the road in a month's time and we need to change the seals. So we rather be safe than sorry and just put brand new seals. So that's exactly what we did. Now for the seal that's going to be on the gearbox side, well, this seal, we actually have to just take the seal, it's a large seal, and push it into place. Now you use your fingers to just push it in initially, but then you take a small hammer and just tap it. Light taps, because you don't want to damage the seal in any way, but you just want to get it to fit flush. Now this way you know, okay, it's incorrectly and there should not be any leaks. And once tapped into place, you just want to put sealer, put the gasket on, and once the gasket is on with the sealer, put more sealer on top of the gasket, and then you can mount it to the block. Now after this, we put the oil pump in. Now you don't have to put the oil pump in the stage. You could have put it in earlier before you put in the seals, but before you put the oil pump in, you have to make sure that you prime the oil pump. That way you just have a better easy flow. Once you go to try and start it up, the pump is already primed and you know you are good to go. Now when it comes to the sump, we are putting same thing like the housings for the seal. You're going to put sealer, then you're going to put the gasket on top, and then you're going to put more sealer on top of the gasket. So then you are good to go and mount the sump. Now try to be accurate when mounting the sump, because you don't want to now try and readjust and now you're just putting sealer all over the block. So to avoid that, try and be accurate, and once it's on, take your bolts and put your bolts in place. What you can do, if you are struggling to find the holes, take a thin screwdriver, put it through the hole and try and find a way to find the hole. That way it'll just help putting the bolts through and it's gonna make life easier to tighten. So after that, tighten, and after that you are gonna be good to go, and that is your sub assembly assembled. Oh, and by the way, we've also put on a metal plate, I forgot about that. Now this is what the block looks like at the current time. It's not the best, so as I said in the beginning, we need to paint it. So with that, we are just gonna use the same brake slash part cleaner when we resprayed the calipers. If you haven't seen that video, you need to go in and let me know what you think about the color. So that is what we're going to use to just help clean off the block. Then we're going to use black paint because we're going to spray the block black. We've seen people spray it silver, whole lot of different colors, but we're just trying to keep it plain, simple, and clean and have a super clean look. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So sample is now sprayed and it is time for the block. So with this being said, if you guys did go on to enjoy this video, please let me know in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good jazz. But if you want to see more in depth on how to actually do everything, or you want to see the entire build, let me know in the comment section and I will actually just upload the entire length of assembling the block. So just let me know in the comment section, or if you want longer videos, also let me know. I know it's a lot, but hey, it's just gonna help me make better videos for you. So with all this being said, hope you guys still want to enjoy this video. So don't forget, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more progress on the VW Fox build with the 1.9 conversion. So hope you guys did enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.